offseason
What?
and he gets hurt.
Top 3.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I think he's top 2. I think he's better than Josh Allen at this moment.
I would take Burrow over Allen right now. I would.
100%.
I would.
Why? Where you put him at?
I'd probably put him like 3 or 4.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
Audio Jungle.
All right, welcome back to episode 23 of the Tipsy Tailgate podcast, Tipsy Tailgate Media. Follow us on all socials at Tipsy Tailgate Media, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of them above. Live show this Sunday at Dickerman's Ale House in Hamden, Connecticut. Be there. Come join us and watch football, talk football, all that. With that said, I'm Aiden.
I am Ben.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Jason. The
Yep.
fans have called. They've asked. I returned. I'm back.
The one-time thing has now become a two-time thing.
Maybe
It will stay at a 2-time
but it'll
thing.
stay at
It
2.
will stay at
maybe
2.
3-time.
No.
No, you'll
Nope.
stay at 2.
The fact that our first time back in studio is with Jason is
A
just
rough start to
disgusting.
the semester.
Makes me want to throw up.
Rough start to the semester.
Just awful.
So let's get straight into it. We've got NFL conference games right now this Sunday. Very exciting. Good slate. You got Sunday, the 3 p.m. game is the 49ers-Eagles. Eagles are now 3-point favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the Bengals-Chiefs at 6:30 on Sunday. The Chiefs have started as underdogs.
Right.
They're now 1-point favorites and basically a pick 'em.
Right.
So where are we standing? Let's go 49ers-Eagles game first. What do you think?
So I'm gonna go with the Niners. As I've been taking the Niners to win the Super Bowl all year. I'm gonna stick with it. With that said, if there's a game that Purdy's going to fall apart, as you were saying yesterday, Aiden, it'll be in Philadelphia. They get a couple sacks on him early, maybe a fumble, something like that.
Yeah.
The crowd's in a frenzy. I think it's going to be a really interesting game, but I think the 49ers defense is going to be good enough to slow down any type of momentum that Philly gets. So I'm going to go with the Niners to win this game. It's going to be a sloppy one, though.
Okay, so I have a couple thoughts here. So, one, Eagles had the best pass rush in the entire league this year, most sacks, all right? Now, I know they lost Josh Sweat to injury. He's out for the season. But if any team's going to make Purdy uncomfortable, like I said, it's going to be the Eagles.
Right.
The other thing is the 49ers' biggest weakness, and I talked about that on the video on the channel, that their biggest weakness right now is their secondary deep balls. Deep balls, they allow deep balls at the most rate. Basically, whatever they do good, this is their one flaw. So A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, those are the two guys that, maybe the two best receivers left in this playoffs in terms of going over top, maybe besides Jamar Chase.
I'd take Jamar Chase.
Yeah,
I
maybe,
would
yeah,
take Jamar.
besides Jamar Chase. But I'd take probably those ahead of anyone else other than Jamar Chase. And these two they've been lighting it up all year. I think it's time they take another stand. Jalen Hurts having a phenomenal year. In my opinion, second MVP runner-up to Mahomes. And
I would go with Burrow, but I respect the Hurts pick.
Yeah, I mean, I just think we knew this from Burrow, and Hurts kind of just came out of nowhere.
Right.
But I agree, and I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Eagles -3 is a little too much. I don't think they should be 3-point favorites.
Yeah.
And like I talked about before, I've been riding the Eagles all season since my off-season prediction about how I think they're gonna be a Super Bowl team, and Jalen Hurts is gonna be an MVP candidate. Both have come true, and I hope that they make it there. So I'm going Eagles. I'm not taking them with the 3 points though. What about you? What do you think?
Do you want to give him a little introduction?
Yeah. So this is Chris. He's big Raiders fan, and we've wanted him on the pod for a while. He came on the live show
The last
at
live
Dickman's.
show at Dick's.
Yes, and he's back for a full episode now. So
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
of course.
So I think both teams are legit. I think the Niners defense is kind of too overpowering, and I think that honestly Purdy can get it done. The guy's he's been getting it done. Just get the ball
He
to
has
his
been.
playmakers.
Was he 8-0 now?
8-0.
Yeah.
Just get the ball to his playmakers. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be a back-and-forth game, I think, and I think it's going to be like a field goal is going to decide it. So
Yeah, I
that's
agree.
what I think there.
It's going to be a really close game. I think everyone can agree on that. And the other thing is, so you've got Purdy and all the weapons around, but it's not like the Eagles don't have their own weapons. Goddard has been great this year, back from injury. Sanders has had a phenomenal year. Hurts is just as much of a playmaker with the ball in his hands as much as it is with his feet. And then you got, like I said, Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown. You got Kenneth Gainwell, who had, I think, 2 touchdowns last game. Like, they have all the pieces to keep up with the 49ers. I think, me personally, I think these are the 2 best rosters in the entire league.
Mm-hmm.
I think these
definitely
are the 2 best
up
rosters
there. You definitely have a case there. To me, Aiden, this game is going to come down to whatever offense turns the ball over for a point, whether it's a scoop and score, a pick six, something like that. I think there's going to be a turnover late in this game that'll decide this game, similar to the Colts Saints Super Bowl, where Peyton threw that pick six at the end of the game, kind of sealing it for the Saints. I think we're going to see something like that either way in this game, but as I'm taking the Niners, so I'm going to go with the Niners getting that pick six at the end of the game, but it's going to be a real tight battle the whole way, for sure.
So what do you think? What do you think's going to happen in this game? Who wins?
Personally, I'm going to go with the Eagles. This Eagles team reminds me a little bit of the one.
Hammer the Niners. Jason just took you. Hammer the Niners.
Fade him.
You don't fade me. But this team gives me a little bit like the old Eagles vibes, even though they don't have their backup Gardner Minshew leading the charge. This Eagles team reminds me of that other Eagles team. They're hungry. Don't let dreams and nightmares come on pregame. It's over. But Purdy, he looked a little like unsettled in his first 2 playoff games, which he's an undrafted rookie.
Yeah, and throughout the game he settled in. But I do agree. At least for the first game against the Seahawks, he started off a little shaky. But that's the other thing. Like,
no, he was brutal in the first half of that game. He looked awful.
I don't think he's going to have the time that he did in those 2 games to figure himself out and get comfortable like he didn't like the first 2.
Well, I think.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think the Niners' defense is good enough to give him that time.
So I think the Eagles' offense is better than the 2 teams that he's facing. They're not going to get him the chance.
I agree with that, but I think the Niners' defense might be good enough to nullify how good the Eagles are on offense.
So, I think the Eagles are a better team than the Cowboys this year, okay?
Oh, 100%.
And 100%. The Cowboys basically stayed in it for most of the game, besides 2 Dak giveaways and lackluster coaching, whatever you want to call it. Just the team just did not fully perform as good as it did. And even that, the game was close.
With that being said, though, Aiden, do you think that the Niners' game plan might have been let Dak Prescott lose? It could have been a very Belichickian way of playing the game. Let Prescott lose it rather than we go out and win it.
Yeah. Well, I also think that the Cowboys are a little bit similar of a roster to the way the Eagles are built, where if the run game's working, the rest of the offense works. If their quarterback can move a little bit, the offense gets unlocked. If the defense makes a turnover, then this team is really in a good position to win.
Right.
Now, they lost 19-12, but that's a closer game than you'd think. Now you get the Eagles coming into town, coming to play them. It's actually in Philly. And I think it's a perfect storm here for the Eagles. I don't think that there's a far and away winner, and we'll get to that in a second. We put a poll on the Instagram, and I'm pretty sure it's split 50-50, 25 votes on both teams. But
I think the Niners' experience is also going to be a huge factor in this game. This is a team that's been to now 3 of the last 5 NFC championships.
Agreed, and that's another thing. But I also think that
obviously Purdy hasn't been there, but still, the rest of this core of this roster, and Shanahan obviously in a Super Bowl as an OC, 2 years before that. Yeah. So Shanahan's he's got to win a Super Bowl at some point. He's been right in the mix for so long that he has to be due to get one.
Well, do you think that there's some advantage to Sirianni not really having too much playoff experience with that? And kind of coming in blind? Do you think there's an advantage to that?
I'm sure there's a little bit of Shanahan might be a little overwhelmed by the moment at this point since he's been there so many times and he understands it. Shanahan might have too much experience, to your point.
Exactly.
To where he kind of overthinks the whole situation.
Yeah. And as a play caller, that might be a problem.
But I would agree with you if Shanahan hadn't he's already overly coached games. Like the Falcons is a perfect example. He overcoached the game.
Yes.
Overplay called the game and blew it. I think if he went more of the Sean McVay route in his first Super Bowl, where he undercoached the game and what's the word I'm looking for? Didn't
You sometimes stick to
Try
the
to do-
basics.
right,
Try to do
right.
too much.
Don't do too much.
He didn't do enough.
Mhm.
Is really what McVay did. I think Shanahan's gone the other way. So I think Shanahan's been in a good spot where now he has to simplify and
Yeah.
simplify. So I think the Niners are in a good position to get this done this week.
Okay. So let's move on to the next game. Chiefs, Bengals. Chiefs are now 1-point favorites. Here's my quick 2 cents on it. So I think the Chiefs have the second best pass rush and QB pressures behind the Eagles, and the Bengals O-line is, it's depleted. Basically, 3 starters
Three
are
out
out.
of the 5 starters are out.
Exactly. And then the ones that are remaining are
The worst of the starters.
Yeah, basically.
So-
So, with that said, it's kind of a perfect storm in it being pass rush is there. Then you got guys like Frank Clark. You got guys like Chris Jones, who's been phenomenal. Karlaftis, the rookie. I mean, they have pass rushers that can get up in Burrow's face and make him throw it quick. Now, I think that makes this game a little bit closer and more of a, we want it to be a slugfest, deep ball,
Right.
but if they're in their face, if they're in Burrow's face, it'll be a little bit tougher to do so.
You also won't be able to run the ball with Mixon. That's another factor.
Yes. Chiefs have lost three straight games to the Bengals. I mean,
I don't see them
as a-
losing 4.
as a coach as highly touted as Andy Reid, if you lose 4 straight, dude, you got to figure it out. He has to have something up his sleeve.
A
He has
QB is highly touted as Patrick Mahomes, the best in the league. He's due to beat this team.
I agree.
Yeah,
Him
you
and
can't
Andy
lose
Reid
4
are gonna-
straight.
I
you
agree.
can't lose 4 straight.
You can't
Unless
lose
his
4 straight.
ankle is that
Well,
fucked up.
That is a fact.
So that's like the one thing. His ankle has to be bad. It has to be bad. You do not get a high ankle sprain and 2 weeks and not miss at least a week or 2 weeks, and then just play and be fine. Like the fact
Right.
that he's just playing right away after, it has to be bad.
If
And I
this
don't
wasn't
know-
the AFC Championship, he would not be playing this.
I don't know what they're shooting him up with, but he walked out of that presser perfectly fine. He walked better than I walked out of the presser. I can't walk. I have more of a limp than he had, and I am not even hurt.
Right.
I don't know how he did it.
Right.
He must be a magician. But
I mean,
for
we have
him.
seen time to time. He is literally Houdini. That guy's nuts.
so he has to be hurting. He is not 100%. With that said, I do think the Chiefs win. I think they break the streak 0-3 against the Bengals right now. And I think they get the job done. I think it's a Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl, as I predicted from week 3. So I'm riding with it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with what I've been predicting all year. I'm gonna go with Chiefs Niners rematch in the Super Bowl. As you guys just said, I don't see Mahomes and Reed and Kelsey for that fact losing to this team 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
4 times in a row. The Chiefs are way too good of a team and have way too many good players. They have one of the greatest coaches of all time.
Mm-hmm.
They are way too good to lose to this team 4 times in a row, regardless of how good I think Cincinnati is. And I think Cincinnati's phenomenal. I think they're a great team. Joe Burrow's top 3 quarterback in the league
It's
right
honestly
now. He is insane.
It's unfortunate that they go out, they build an O-line in the offseason,
What?
and he gets hurt.
Top 3.
yeah.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I think he's top 2. I think he's better than Josh Allen at this moment.
I would take Burrow over Allen right now. I would.
100%.
I would.
Why? Where you put him at?
I'd probably put him 3 or 4.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
Yeah, all right.
But as I was just saying, I don't see them losing this many times to the Bengals. So I'm gonna go with them. I think Kelsey. I think Kelsey's gonna have a day.
He's so
on
good.
Sunday. I think he's gonna have an absolute day.
And okay,
At least 2 touchdowns for Kelsey.
I believe he's close to passing Edelman as the second most receiving yards in playoff history.
Oh my god.
He just moved into 3rd place, I believe. Do you think where do you rank him all-time tight ends, and do you think he's going to finish as the greatest?
No, he'll never pass Gronk because Gronk at his peak is one of the most dominant football players I've ever seen in my life. I think Kelsey's already passed Gonzalez. I would say that because Gonzalez never translated to wins. You could argue that Kelsey, even with Reed, even with Mahomes, even with Tyreek Early, you could argue that Kelsey is the heartbeat of what this Kansas City team is. I was saying this to you last week.
Yeah.
Honestly, it sounds like a hot take. Kelsey might be a better football player than Patrick Mahomes. And I know that sounds insane. Kelsey's insane, dude. He's insane.
And people forget, too, like, he was a big reason why this team was successful when they had Alex Smith.
Like, I wouldn't necessarily say that Patrick Mahomes isn't. I think Patrick Mahomes is better than Travis Kelce. But it's definitely more of a debate than it seems at face value. When you really look at it, I think it's a lot closer than people would say.
I think in terms of peak and as high as they've gotten, nobody's going to surpass what Gronk did at the tight end position.
I agree.
But I am getting closer and closer to coming to the idea that he's been so good, so healthy, all these years, so consistent, that eventually, 2-3 more years like this, 1-2 more Super Bowls, I'm giving him. I might have to give him the tight end throne over Gronk.
I will say, I don't think he'll ever be a greater tight end than Gronk.
Like peak.
But Mahomes and Kelce are probably a better duo than Tom and Gronk were. Just the way they play, the way they can read each other, the chemistry that they have.
14 receptions last week?
Something like that.
Yeah. And I think 5 of them did come from Chad Henne, right?
Yeah.
So,
Henne, let's go.
But he played well.
He did.
He did play well.
He did.
He's a good backup. Chad Henne, baby. So you have your prediction in. What do you got?
I'm going with the Bengals. I think that Mahomes is banged up. I think if you find a way to kind of contain Kelce, you're not going to be able to stop him completely, but contain him a little bit. And if you pressure Mahomes, I think the Bengals have this one. You can't really move much. As we saw, if you force him outside of the pocket, I don't think it'll go too well for them, but I think it'll be a close game. And probably to come down to one stop, whoever's going to get it. But I think the Bengals are going to win it.
Yeah, I completely agree with, like you said, he's not going to be able to run. He might be able to quarterback in the pocket great, even with that ankle, but he's not going to be able to run. Everyone knows that.
Right.
Both teams, the fans, everyone knows. So, like you said, they get up to him, they pressure him at the feet, in front through the middle. If they could generate that pressure, then he's not going to be able to run around and do a circus act. And if he does, he's putting himself at risk of re-injuring. So
this might have to be,
it's gonna be interesting.
The best play calling performance Andy Reid's ever had with that ankle on Mahomes. So
agreed.
I mean, I think it would be insanely impressive for the Chiefs to win, but I'm still going to stick with them to win. I just don't see them losing 4 times in a row.
I mean, like, imagine Bill doing that.
Losing 4 times in a row to like the
Steelers. It's a major hit to your legacy. Major hit. What do you think? What do you have? Who wins?
I got the Chiefs. I mean, I'm a huge Mahomes fan.
I'm stunned that Jason took the Chiefs.
No way.
I'm stunned.
I mean, I've also been saying Chiefs Eagles. When I did come on the pod, I did say Chiefs.
You did say that.
I did say that. So I'm sticking to my take, and I think this kind of reminds me of like a huge, not only legacy game for Mahomes if he beats the Bengals and goes to another Super Bowl, but if he's doing this with a high ankle sprain.
This might be the best win of his career so far.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Super Bowl obviously the best win.
This would be a
legacy
type of
game.
play.
Reminds me a little bit of Willis Reed coming out of the tunnel in Madison Square Garden and winning that Knicks championship.
Yeah, all right.
I go all the way back to the 70s. But also,
that's way back then.
Rocky was in theaters when that happened.
Pacheco's been playing very well too. I don't know that run he had the other day. He saw some green on the ground. And
so Rutgers alum.
If he could have another game like that, and I mean, I think it's gonna be close, but I think the Chiefs don't lose.
So going into that, I could see where you're going with this. I have as my 2 favorite bets for it, Jerick McKinnon anytime touchdown. I also sprinkled first touchdown, and then Kelce anytime. I also sprinkled 2 touchdowns. So those are my 2 guys. Look out for them in a big game. I would dare to say the daunted words, it's a lock. Jerick McKinnon will score a touchdown anytime. I said it. It's going to happen. I could just see this getting memed. I could just see this getting memed.
Lock is aggressive.
Very aggressive. But that is my play. And with that said, I do want to go into what the fans were saying, commenting on our Instagram. Follow us at Tipsy Tailgate Media. You got it right here. Cop some merch. This is what we got. So we have 2 predictions. 1, Max Peruta. Thank you for commenting. It was always Jalen's year, he said. So he's got the Eagles. And then we've got Kelly Duffy, big fan of the pod, great kid. Mahomes isn't going 0 for 4 against Burrow. 49ers D is too much to handle. It's too much for the Eagles to handle.
I agree with both statements.
And then we have the polls. Bengals, 66% think the Bengals are going to win to 34%. And then it's not a split anymore. Eagles, 53% on the Eagles, 47% on the 49ers. So that is what the fans think. And, we're in for a great week of football. And I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I think both games go down to the wire. I don't think either of these will be a blowout in any sense. I think they're both just absolute dogfight battles.
I would even say I think we finally got in the last the four best teams remaining.
I agree.
I don't think there's any flukes. I think these are the four best teams.
Yeah. I would.
I think the Bills
are
are probably the fifth. I don't think that they're one of the top
who did
four.
Who did the
Bills
Chiefs?
don't have a run game.
Who did the Chiefs beat? Do you remember who the Chiefs beat to go to the Super Bowl when they played the Bucs? Do you remember that AFC Championship? Because I remember that was Tampa and Green Bay, so that was a great.
They're Green Bay. That was a great
They
game.
beat the Bills.
I think it was.
Was it the Bills?
I think it was.
It might have been
Okay,
the
then
first
that-
time that they beat the Bills.
then that-
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs is still.
So this is probably the first time since then that we've had legitimately the four best teams in the league playing in championship weekend.
You want to know who isn't one of the four best teams
The Buffalo Bills.
or one of the four best quarterbacks?
Josh Allen.
Dak Prescott.
Oh,
Almost.
Oh.
Almost.
poor Dak.
I want to go into
Poor
Dak.
Dak.
I want to go into Dak because I had this whole monologue on the podcast. Go check it out. 2 months ago, I believe. I went out and I said, Dak, I'm not sure if he's the guy. We were talking about Cooper Rush. I'm not saying Cooper Rush is the guy, but I was saying everything that Cooper Rush brought to the Cowboys by making mistake-free, turnover-free football is exactly what Mahomes is not doing. Not Mahomes. Prescott. Mahomes. I wish I had Mahomes. Dak is playing turnover. All of his plays, turnover. But yes, he can make the bigger play, and yes, he can make the better wins than a guy like Cooper Rush could. But my argument was basically, when is it Dak's time to really go out there and put the team on his back and carry it? Because this is a really good roster. This is a top 3 defense this year. This offense is great. CeeDee Lamb is officially a superstar. The way he played, especially down the stretch here. Tony Pollard is legit. Zeke is old and
broke his
fat.
leg. Broke his leg in the
Yes,
middle of the game,
and he got
which
hurt.
killed them.
Tony Pollard
Couldn't get a
fibula, I
first down once
think.
he went out.
Yeah, they couldn't move the ball once Pollard got out.
But that's what I'm saying. So at some point you got to put the blame on Dak. I might have went too early, but right after that, every week since, I think he had a streak of 7 games throwing a pick.
Right.
I think he led the league in interceptions. If not, Josh Allen.
He was
might have
second
took
in the
over.
league in picks, but he only played 12 games.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
So he.
If he played all the games, I think he would have thrown 23 picks this year.
So basically, everything that I was saying might have been too early, but it came even more to fruition after I said it.
Yeah.
So, Dak, here's the thing. I don't think he is the guy, but I don't think you move off him because what are your options right now? There's not many.
Right.
So, you know what I think they do? You have to fire McCarthy. You have to get him Sean Payton. And if that doesn't happen, which it basically is confirmed by Jerry Jones, it's not happening.
Right.
And that McCarthy's saying, the same thing will happen next year. Mark my words.
I think it'll
Mark
be
my
worse.
words. Or worse. Why would it get better? He's making. I watched 3 or 4 different analysts say he's making the same mistakes that a second-year quarterback in the league makes going into his third year.
But he wasn't making those mistakes last year when he threw 37 touchdowns to 10 picks.
So that's the thing. So
I think
why
it's
is he
possible
stepping
that
back?
something happened with Dak this year that shook his confidence and he broke a little bit this year. I think he could bounce back.
I did hear.
I would-
rumor. He did break up with his girlfriend before the season.
But he has a new girlfriend. Did you see that? He has a
did see
bounce
that.
back
So
girlfriend.
maybe
They're calling her like the Walmart Livy Dunn. I swear.
Maybe
You
that's
see that?
all of his time's going. He's not watching film. He's
Well,
doing something else.
all I know is all these turnovers, bro.
I think it's possible
Of
that.
course, you're gonna lose your girl. Turn the ball over like that. Did you see the Cowboys Twitter post?
Yeah, that was
They were dragging
disrespectful. That
They were
was
like-
disrespectful. You don't tweet. I don't care
It was so
how
bad.
badly he performed throughout the season. You don't tweet that from the team's account.
The Jets never did anything about Zach Wilson.
Fire that social media manager.
Yeah, no, that's pretty bad. If I'm
Ready?
Dak Prescott, I'm pissed about that tweet.
You want to hear the tweet? It's loading up right now.
Quinnipiac Wi-Fi, everyone.
Very bad. Okay, ready? Dak Prescott gave the ball away twice in the narrow loss to the 49ers in a matchup the Cowboys had a chance to win if they didn't generate self-inflicted wounds. They basically said,
That's so
our quarterback
disrespectful.
sucks, and we lost
They
because of
literally said our quarterback fucking blows. Blame
him.
him.
And he's the reason why.
Okay, so all I'm
So what
gonna
do you
say.
think- what do you think about that?
All I'm gonna say about Dak is, I don't think anyone who knows anything about football has ever looked at Dak Prescott and said, this is like a top 5 quarterback. He's in the same league as like a Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, a Joe Burrow, a Pat Mahomes.
Listen to some Cowboys fans out there.
I'm saying people who know about football.
Oh, so not
So no
Not Cowboys fans,
No Cowboys.
obviously. I think everyone's had a good understanding of who Dak Prescott is as a quarterback. He's literally Tony Romo. They're like the same guy. So, I mean, if you look at him through the proper lens, he wouldn't be getting as much shit as he does. Like,
It's also the contract.
why are you blaming a guy for not being what you want him to be when you know he's not that? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think a lot of people thought he would be more, and then now they're realizing he isn't more. He's what we probably thought we were gonna get.
Right, but like,
for a 4th round pick.
is that
was.
Dak Prescott's fault that he is what he should be?
No, but I would say that for his circumstances, the team he's on, yes, it's a lot of pressure, but they have a lot of money and the contract.
If he wasn't the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, which obviously it comes along with it, you're the quarterback of America's team, you're going to catch all the shit.
Yeah.
If he was a quarterback of, let's say, the Seahawks, no one would be giving him shit right now.
Well, exactly.
No one would care.
And I give him credit. He handles the media well with the Cowboys. He handles that all well, and that's impressive. But he has the weapons. He has everything around him to the point where if they're not going to get rid of the coach,
I still think that getting rid of Amari Cooper was stupid.
It was, because then they were looking for another receiver. Because then they were like, oh, wait, now we need another receiver. Yes, but like, I don't know. It did help CD, though.
He has the talent over there, though. So you can see, I mean, yeah, he's getting the hate because that team should be 10 times better than they are. And honestly, I think he should be better than he's playing. Like, he's a good quarterback,
Yeah.
I think. He just makes way too many mistakes, and there's that defense is way too good over there. He has Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb,
Exactly. Schultz has been good.
They got a great team over there, and he's just making too many mistakes.
I think
Uh-huh.
I agree, but I think that something happened in terms of like confidence. Maybe his injury was still lingering or whatever. Something happened where he broke a little bit this year. I think he will bounce back.
And that's to be seen. It doesn't seem like McCarthy's getting fired, though. So I don't really know what else could change. I mean, Schultz is a free agent. Pollard's a free agent, coming off an injury.
You got to find a way to get rid of Zeke.
Yeah, he's the worst.
He has anything left in the tank.
Yeah,
he scores, but he's scoring.
And
like
yeah, his stats are so overinflated.
It's literally like
Pollard,
Jerome Bettis. You just pound it at the 1 yard line.
Pollard
And he
takes
gets,
him
like-
80 yards on like 2 catches and like 3 great runs.
No, I
and then
think
they pull him.
that
for
is so
Zeke at the one.
disrespectful.
It's
Like,
so
if
disrespectful.
you go down the whole field and then your team doesn't reward you with a touchdown, like that's bullshit. Like,
and they're
you
doing
do
it-
all the work and then you give it to Zeke.
They're doing
they
it
call
so
him?
that they
Sure.
look
They can
better.
justify the contract.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, they really.
Or are they calling Zeke the short yardage back?
Yeah, he's like the.
Is that
the
what they?
1 yard
Is that
back.
like his title on the Cowboys
think
now?
it's all
Short yardage back.
I don't know. It's yeah. Can you imagine Zeke?
That's so bad.
But I want to talk about Daniel Jones because I feel like it's, we wanted this year to feel out. This will decide if Daniel Jones is the guy or not. Looks like the guy for the majority of the year. Looks great. Has one bad game at the end. They get bounced against the Eagles. Now, where do we stand on him? Because me personally, I think this is what the Giants' plan should be. I think the Giants go up to Daniel Jones. I think they tell him, look, you'll never have another coaching experience or team that rallies around you like this ever again. You will not sign anywhere else where a guy like Dable, who had Josh Allen, who's probably the closest thing to what Daniel Jones is physically.
Right.
You'll never have that again, and you should stay a little bit team-friendly deal. Now, you sign him to a 3 to 4 year deal. You don't break the bank. I understand you're going to have to give him money to quarterback.
I'd give him like 25.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to have to pay him. Now, you go out, you grab a wide receiver 1, okay, and you draft a guy to be wide receiver 3 to whatever. Hopefully he hits.
Is Saquon included in this plan?
Now,
yours.
Well, so my whole thing this year was that Saquon shouldn't be re-signed because I'm just against the second contract running back. Now, the Giants made it farther than I thought this year, and they look like they're playing like a legit football team. Now, who knows if it all falls apart next year? I doubt it. I think in this situation where Daniel Jones really proved that he has a chance to be a solid starter in this league, yeah, you should bring back Saquon.
Yeah.
And now it's getting a little iffy because he said, I don't want to reset the market. I don't want to break the bank. They offer him like $8 million. He's like, nah, man. Like, I want CMC numbers, which is like $16 million. So, like, he doesn't want to reset the market, but he wants to be, like, right next to the market.
Right.
So, like, you're going to pay him a lot. You're going to probably pay Daniel Jones a lot. And if you get a wide receiver 1, you're going to have to pay him a lot as well. And then Kenny Golladay is, like, the worst contract in football.
Kenny Golladay blows.
What
So-
if you do a trade for a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, though?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, he's going to the Patriots.
Hopefully. But that's what I'm saying. You get him wide receiver number 1. You draft him another wide receiver, maybe a tight end, whatever.
Well, isn't
it is.
T. Higgins available or going to be available on the trade market?
No.
I've
Higgins?
seen that
Really?
because they're not going to be able to
Sign him?
re-sign
That
him.
guy's a beast.
It's possible.
He's insane.
He's a
Go
beast.
get him then. That's a great guy to get. But I think you do that. You keep him in the Dable system because he's not going to be better anywhere else.
No.
And you see and you hope that he takes the Jalen Hurts jump from a solid quarterback, that iffy passer,
Right.
to proving that he's a good passer. He could throw
Yeah.
the ball. He could be a good quarterback. So
Yeah,
that's my plan.
I agree. I don't see the point in moving off of Daniel Jones right now.
I mean, who are you going to get that's better?
Like
At the moment.
the only thing that I could see being worth it is if Lamar leaves Baltimore, and you can get Lamar to be the quarterback of the Giants.
The other thing is Daniel Jones is loved. Everyone loves him. In
Right.
New York, the locker room, they rallied around
Right.
him. It's going to be tough to just bring a new guy in unless, of
Well,
course,
it has to be
is
like
a
it's
guy,
kind of like
Lamar.
this is going to be a really disrespectful comparison, like really
boy.
disrespectful. But like fans in Denver love Tim Tebow, right?
Yeah.
So like you had to replace Tim Tebow with a legend. You go get Peyton Manning. Obviously, it's a very different situation because Daniel Jones is actually a pretty good quarterback, and Tebow blew. But I mean, it's kind of like that. Like the team responds to him, the fans respond to him.
Man. No
So
Tebow slander over here.
if you're Tebow sucks, he sucks.
He's a great guy.
I could throw better with my left foot than he could with his left hand.
But I understand what you're saying. I
Right,
know what
like you
mean.
have to replace him with a quarterback who's that good for the team to buy in.
And then I want to talk on really quickly what you thought we were talking about originally, the Bills and their meltdown. I
Right.
think now this is going to be a little way too early of a prediction here. I think that the Bills, I was telling you this last night, I think that the Bills take a major step back. Not only are they screwed with the salary cap, they are in trouble with their salary cap. They are projected to be, I think, 10 to 15 million over already. That's with the new CBA, new contract, the raising of the salary cap. That's with that included. So now they have to pay Jordan Poyer, Terrell Edmonds. Those are two key defensive players.
Tremaine Evans.
Tremaine Edmonds. They have to.
I don't think Poyer stays.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So what? They lose both of them. They're still pinched with the salary cap. Who do they improve on? Diggs and Allen both take major jumps in their contract this year. They're going to lose one or two of those guys. Who do they bring in that replaces them? And then if they do replace them, what makes it seem like they're going to be better than they were last year? I think they take a major step back. I
also-
think the Bills might miss the playoffs next year.
Another element to this is what's Stephon Diggs' status with the Bills?
Yeah.
Like, what was that?
He
was either freaking out at was it confirmed whether he was freaking out the coordinator, the QB coach, or Allen? Like, was that confirmed who he was yelling at?
I think they'll be all right though over there. I mean, yeah, it's the heat of the moment. He was angry. I think it was Allen though that he was screaming at, but it's the guy. He wanted the ball and stuff.
Right.
So.
I'm not against that.
Diggs did the same thing in Minnesota. He's just a very passionate football
Yeah, he
player. As he
cares.
said, he said after
Now-
I'm not happy.
I'm
losing.
against exactly. I'm against diva receivers, but in a game of that magnitude,
I mean,
he
listen,
should be
man.
getting the ball more.
The poor guy's been standing watching the Chiefs win for 3 years.
I don't care if you're a diva receiver. I really don't. I love Randy Moss. I thought T.O. was the man. Stephon Diggs is a diva receiver. He's officially a diva receiver now. Dude, the way he's been behaving, I'm not even saying it's like a negative thing, but like he is like I love OBJ. I think OBJ's the man. Stephon Diggs is officially a diva receiver. I don't care what the score is. You can't show up your quarterback like that on the sideline in a playoff game. Like
The game was already over.
I understand. I agree. So I understand. I don't like diva receivers. But like at the same point, like he could see Josh Allen is like struggling, and he's like, yo, like just get me the ball and like I'll help you out. But like Allen's doing all this stuff and he's turning the ball over more now. And
but I do agree with your premise that
I think they're regressing. I think the
agree.
Bills are regressing.
I don't think I see them missing the playoffs. I could see them hovering around like 10-7. not necessarily
Well-
out of the playoffs,
Well, let me say,
but the AFC East
Yes.
is going to be far better next year
Yes.
than it was this year.
okay, so
Especially
say
if the Jets get Rodgers.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like
Jets
get
get Rodgers,
Rodgers.
which we'll touch on in a second.
The Pats are at least 10 wins now with Bill O'Brien.
Pats with Bill O'Brien is
Like,
definitely
they're gonna be a good
more
team again.
new improved team.
Dolphins are
The Dolphins are a good team.
If the
What
Dolphins-
get Brady,
If the Dolphins get Brady, they are a conference championship team. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind. Now, you got the Rodgers thing potentially to the Jets. You've got the Bills again, and then you've got the Patriots with Bill O'Brien.
There's one last thing I want to say about the Bills. Like, I completely agree they're going to regress. And the main issue with them, every season they've made the playoffs and lost, they don't have a run game. Their running back is their quarterback.
Yeah,
and
but
it doesn't work.
I know, but it's in the scheme because James Cook was averaging like 5.5 yards a carry all year, and
Yeah.
they wouldn't give him the ball
Yeah.
more than like 7 carries a game. And then Singletary even played decent this year, but they don't like if you're gonna want to build a run game, it's not gonna happen in 8 carries. You're gonna take 15 to 20 carries to actually build a run game, and I think it's the scheme.
You also raised a good point yesterday. You were saying, I'm not rooting for injury, obviously, but if you keep using Josh Allen like this, he's going to get hurt.
Exactly, and
Everyone said that Cam Newton will
Yeah.
never get hurt. He got hurt.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
it's
So
not that he's due for an injury, but
Yeah.
it's more so that
you're putting it in a position to get injured.
Yeah.
They're not helping him out. at all.
Right, exactly.
So I think we all kind of agree on the Bills being a little bit.
No, I
of a
think they
regressing
will
team.
regress a bit. And I like McDermott as a coach a lot. I think he is a very good coach.
Mm-hmm.
But as you just said, you're paying all these guys. You can't keep all the pieces on your defense, which is supposed to be your biggest Your secondary was one of their biggest assets last year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're also paying Von Miller all that money.
Yeah. Who knows if he comes back
Like
the same?
to
He's
me,
older now.
to me, that contract was only worth it this year.
for the season,
And then
Is
he
it all
gets
guaranteed,
hurt.
though, or no?
It's a 6-year deal. What?
Is it all guaranteed?
I don't know.
For a guy like his age, I'm sure it was.
A
I'm
good-
sure
at least
most
a
of
good
it was.
portion, yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
That was a we have a 2-year window to get it done kind of
Yeah.
deal, and then he gets hurt
Yeah.
the first year.
They weren't
That-
planning on it.
that's
Brandon Beane, their GM, was not planning on spending any money, and then last second he was like, "Screw it, we're going for Vaughn."
Right.
And then 6-year deal. He probably regrets it right now.
Listen, if Von Miller's healthy, they could still be playing right now.
But yeah, I think the Bills missed. I think the Bills missed the playoffs this
I think they
year.
missed the
There was
playoffs.
I think they missed the
45
playoffs.
If they miss the playoffs,
I think they missed the playoffs.
It says $45 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
How
yeah,
many
it's
years?
Only really like
It's a 6-year deal.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's team friendly. They're not going to keep him for all 6 of
Exactly.
them.
Yeah.
It'll be like another 1 or 2, and then that's
So then
Yeah.
the last two things I want to touch on. Like we talked about, Nathaniel Hackett, former Broncos head coach, and then before that, former Packers OC, going to the Jets as the Jets offensive coordinator after a terrible run with the Broncos. Nobody could deny that. But a lot of people are forgetting he has a incredible history as an OC in
right,
the league,
with the Jags and
of course, and then
with the Packers as well. But
and with
Rodgers.
Rodgers won 2 MVPs under
Right.
him, and with him. So there has to be something said. The Jets are going all in for Rodgers, and it's obvious.
I love this move for the Jets.
You gotta.
I love this.
You gotta
move.
love it.
Because even if it doesn't work out and you don't get Rodgers, it shows a commitment to winning that we haven't seen from the Jets in a very long time.
Agreed.
And it shows that they're finally just doing whatever it takes to turn the landscape of the franchise around.
Yeah.
They're
They don't want to be a
bring-
meme anymore.
Yeah,
and
they're
doing
done
a
with
good
it.
job. With
And honestly,
the
like,
roster.
even if they continue to not make the playoffs the next couple of years, I don't think you get rid of Douglas. I don't think you get rid of Saul. I think Saul has done a very good job.
Yeah.
So I think part of the thing that the Jets have done wrong is there's so much turnover in the staff, in the front office. I think you have to keep this in place for a little bit, let it grow. Similarly to what the Lions said. The Lions said, listen, even if we're not going to win the next couple of years, we're going to keep Campbell and his staff intact.
Well, of course,
We're
and
gonna
then
let it grow.
It was actually a big, like you mentioned, it was a big way. I forget his name, Johnson maybe. Their OC, the Lions OC, he was a heavy head coach candidate, and he decided to stay because they want to build something in
Right.
Detroit, and I respect him for that.
Right.
And I think that should be a bigger thing. I don't think there should be coordinators that are just continuously moving to be head coaches when you could go and kind of make a stacked. Like, imagine the Chiefs had D'Amico Ryans, the 49ers DC,
Right.
and then they had Bieniemy, their OC, and then Andy Reid. Like, that's like an all-star to stack team. Like, you're
Right.
gonna win like at least 2 Super
Well, that-
Bowls over a 10-year stretch.
That was
together.
part of the thing that made the Pats so dangerous
Yeah.
was that you had McDaniels running the offense.
Of course.
And then Bill could focus purely on special teams and defense.
Yeah, and I love it. I understand they want to build a legacy for themselves. They want to build their own coaching tree. They want to make the money. But I do think it'll become more commonplace where OCs and DCs stay in those positions just because they don't want to ruin their career. I mean,
right. And also, I think a lot of coordinators, or all coordinators, when you win a Super Bowl as a coordinator, you feel like you're a part of it. Obviously, you have almost just as much credit for it as a head coach.
But
Belichick, his 2 rings with the Giants as the DC, he calls his boat 8 rings. He doesn't call it 6 rings. Mm-hmm. He named his boat 8 rings. So that's proof that he definitely counts those as championships. I'm sure 100%. Josh McDaniels walks around saying, I'm a 6-time Super Bowl champion. He counts them.
Which they should, though.
They should, 100%.
Major part of
100%.
And we were just talking about it. Let's go to the Patriots. Bill O'Brien, former Texans head coach and worst GM of all time.
Yes, horrible GM.
Better head coach than GM, for sure.
Yeah, I thought he was a very solid head coach.
Yeah, and then goes to Bama OC, back to the Patriots, former Patriots OC back in the day. What do you think? I know we love this move.
I think he might be a better, for purely Mac Jones, he might be a better fit as a coordinator than Josh McDaniels, purely because he has that Alabama link. He has the Patriots. I don't think it's a hot take at all. He has that Alabama link.
Yeah.
He has the Patriots link already with Tom. I believe it was 2009 to 2011 and 2010 and 2011. Look up Tom's numbers. Those were 2 of his best seasons ever. He was in the MVP. He won MVP in 2010, I believe. Yeah, and then he was second or third the next year. And so I think it was a perfect fit for Mac. He's going to be able to create the perfect system for Mac Jones' skill set. And I think he has a better chance to. I've given up on Jonnu, but if there's one thing that he can do, he can probably get Jonnu more involved in terms of a blocking scheme and maybe carry the ball a few times.
And we agreed on this, I believe, during the season. We don't need Mac to be in a super complex offense. He's actually been better when he's been in a simplified offense. And I think that Bill O'Brien, not only will he bring a good, proven to work, simplified type of style, but he'll also bring there will be creativity involved, but it's not going to be too complex to where Mac's going to be what's going on, but it's also going to be more than what a guy like Matt Patricia did.
Right.
You know? So it'll give us the chance to grow as an offense and Mac to grow as a quarterback after a year of being kind of shit on with a DC as his OC.
Exactly.
What are we doing?
And the other thing I love about this deal is it's going to be very similar. It's going to be what Bill O'Brien had when he was here before. You run the offense. It's your show.
Bill runs
the defense, runs the special teams. So that's going to raise the whole team because Bill's now purely on the defensive side of the ball. Defense is going to be nasty next year. I think we're going to add a few pieces in the offseason.
We've got like $50 million in cap. You spend that, you get some defensive players.
Yeah.
Maybe an
spend the whole draft on the O-line.
Exactly.
Spend the whole draft on the O-line.
And go get us a wide receiver 1.
Go trade for D-Hop, please.
Huh? You guys want D-Hop then?
I want D-Hop bad.
Oh, yeah.
Need D-Hop.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So now that you have Bill O'Brien, do you really think DeAndre Hopkins is going to want to go back with
They have no beef.
That's the other thing.
They have no beef.
Yeah.
That confirmed?
I think they both could mutually sit in a room and laugh about it. Dude, I don't know.
I can't believe I traded you.
I traded you for a bag of chips. That's my bad.
My bad, man.
I don't know what I was thinking, but let's go win a Super Bowl.
And the other thing, I love Mac, right? But you can't fully excuse his behavior on the field, right? Mm-hmm. He was acting like a baby for a lot of the season.
Yeah.
And if there's anyone that won't put up with that, it's Bill O'Brien. Yeah, you saw it on the sideline with
the
Tom.
Brady clip.
You know that he's a no BS kind of guy. And Mac does like that kind of coaching. He got that coaching from Saban. He's gotten that coaching from Belichick.
Yes.
So I think this is a perfect fit for Mac Jones. If Mac doesn't work out this year, then you can say he's not a good quarterback. But I don't see it not going well. I see the Pats being a playoff team this year.
So you guys are off Zappy?
I was never on Zappy.
All right.
I hope Zappy gets cut in training camp.
No, I remember some people would just be like, we'll just be talking do you think Zappy's the guy? And I'm like, bro, let's relax here. Come on.
There were way too
had
many
a couple
people
minutes though when he played well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
no,
it was
but
electric every
people
once in a
wanted
while.
him to be like the Brady the Bledsoe so
bad.
Let's
settle down. But yeah, that's the episode. That's episode 23 here. NFL Conference Week. We are ready to go. 2 great games. Sunday, like I said, come to Dickerman's Ale House in Hamden, Connecticut. Watch our live show. We'll be there for the later game, probably around 6:30. Buy our merch. We're going to have a giveaway coming soon. Make sure to check that out. And with that said, thanks for listening.
Why don't you thank your guests for coming?
Thank you, Mr. Bucci.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Jason,
Anytime.
go away.
I'll be back for a third time.
No, he's
No,
not.
he will
He's
not.
not. He's not. He's
No,
not.
he will not.
You're good?
Yeah.